guys? Gannon here, back again with another Star Trek Discovery review. Boy, am I happy to be here. We are going to be reviewing episode 3, named People of Earth today. Now, in the last episode review, I coined the term Star Trek boomers, and in my defense, okay, everybody my age, the meme is that you kind of call any stubborn older person just a boomer. You know, you call anybody who's probably above middle age, who's a little bit set in their ways, you're just like, okay, boomer. That's like the boomer humor type of thing. But the actual Star Trek boomers took that a little bit literally, and in my last review, I was criticizing Star Trek boomers for their illegitimate criticisms of Star Trek Discovery as a series, and the actual Star Trek boomers took that quite literally and actually took me to school, and they informed me that actually boomers have no problem with Star Trek Discovery, and that the biggest offenders of the Star Trek Discovery illegitimate criticisms happen to be Gen X. Everybody was pointing the finger at Gen X, okay? They were all boop, 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 saying that Gen X was the biggest haters. Gen X viewers, if you're watching this, we're on to you. I'm totally fucking kidding, by the way, guys. I understand that not all Gen Xers or not all boomers and not all Gen Zers act or behave the same way. But there are some trends. And I gotta tell you guys, if there's any generation that is liable of that behavior, I would have to agree that it's probably Gen X. So Gen X, we are on to you, okay? Okay, jokes aside, guys, let's get into the review. In this episode, Michael Burnham has a reunion with the Discovery crew, but it's rather weird as we learn she's been a courier for the past year with only Booker to keep her occasional company. She's experienced a lot and changed a lot this past year. She immediately boards the ship, has a little bit of a reunion with the entire crew, and then she immediately hands over the position of captain to Saru, and we've pretty much seen this coming. Everybody has seen this coming since basically last season. I don't know if I saw Saru with any pips or indicators of him being a captain, but I definitely want that to happen. With no one to officially promote him, I guess he's like a legit captain now. I mean, there's no actual Starfleet officers who are higher rank to officially promote him, so I guess he's just a captain. He looks very good in the captain's chair, by the way. Captain Saru, it's very fitting, and I very much like it. Michael Burnham has a really heartfelt reunion with Tilly. She's obviously changed a lot in the past year, and even says at the end of the episode that she's let go of some of the things about her past identity and self that she must reclaim with time, and I assume those are things along the lines of working on the bridge and operating under the chain of command. In this episode, Michael Burnham, Book, and the rest of the Discovery crew must travel back to Earth to investigate a message left by an Admiral Talls 12 years ago. Travel back to Earth to find it a xenophobic and self-sustaining planet. This dope planetary defense system. They're met by a Captain Doya of the United Earth Defense Force, okay, who boards their ship to inspect it and tells them of a relentless space marauder named Wen who constantly badgers Earth for their dilithium. One of the members of the Defense Force who boards the ship, Adira, sabotages the ship to keep the Defense Force from leaving in order to investigate the discovery further, basically. They then learn that Starfleet no longer exists on Earth, and it has become a liability after the burn occurred, and hasn't been present on Earth for at least around 100 years. Wen then attacks, and there's some awesome split-second decision-making from Saru on the bridge of the Discovery, which allows Michael Burnham to go through with this mystery plan, and her and Booker abduct Wen and transport him to the bridge of the Discovery, where they force Wen and Captain Doya to actually have a conversation. And then you learn that Wen, who was wearing this totally ominous, very intimidating space marauder helmet that made him look like an alien, is actually a human, and he's merely a victim of this human research space station colony thing that has just been down bad for a while, and that he's merely trying to acquire dilithium to survive and actually assist and help his people. Captain Doya and the Earth Defense Force were ignorant to this, and they kind of feel really bad that they didn't attempt to start a dialogue before. So they agree to some terms and help one another out, and it's all a very much happy ending. For helping with the entire Wen situation, they grant the Discovery crew shore leave, where they repeat the Star Trek theme, the hilarious Star Trek theme of not really showing much of Earth, like, at all. Like, I think we just see the tree, and then we see them zooming out of Starfleet headquarters, but that is totally it. This is, like, the exact same thing that happens in DS9 in the Next Generation. I think the only 3 places we see of Earth in the entirety of those 2 series is Cisco's Soul Food Restaurant, Card's Vineyard, and then Starfleet headquarters. All of the Discovery crew then reminisce under this giant tree that has been there since they actually went to the Academy, and they have this wholesome moment where they just kind of reminisce under the tree. That right there is basically the summary of the episode. Now let's get into actually what we really need to talk about, okay? Introduced in this episode was the first non-binary character for Star Trek, whose name is Adira, and this is like a huge joke, right? Because they made this whole announcement that Adira was going to be the first non-binary character, and that they were also going to have the first transgender character in Star Trek. But the thing is that this is not the first non-binary character. Perhaps maybe the first non-binary character who's a part of the main cast, but there was that episode in The Next Gen, Season 5, Episode 17, called The Outcast, where there was an entire race of non-binary androgynous aliens called the Janai. So they made this whole statement, they went out and they were saying that they're going to be the first non-binary character, and they totally embarrassed themselves with that, because, I mean, come on. That just makes them seem like they don't know what the fuck they're talking about, and that's never a good look. Something weird, though, they use female pronouns to address to Adira. They call her and she, like, throughout the entire episodes. They don't use neutral pronouns or anything. They aren't making this character seem non-binary at all, other than her kind of, androgynous look. There's really nothing about her yet that's been stated to be non-binary explicitly. Something cool about her, though, something really fucking badass, is that you learn that she is actually a Trill host to a symbiote. She's actually not a Trill, she's a human, and she has a Trill symbiote inside of her that actually belonged to Admiral Talz. Admiral Talz is dead, but the symbiote lived on and is now inside Adira, and Adira is the host. But because she's a human and not actually a Trill, she does not retain all of the memories from the previous host as clearly, and so they're going to try to access that information to try to get more information on Starfleet, to, investigate and see what's going on in Starfleet. That's basically, like, what they were trying to get at this episode. Really fucking cool that she's, like, a Trill host, and that they're actually doing this, and they're playing off the Trill. That's actually really, really fucking cool. The Discovery crew is ignorant to Trills and the Trill symbiote, which is pretty much canon accurate, if I have to say so myself. They're from, like, the 23rd century, and they haven't really met Trills. They don't really know much about Trills. Our first interaction with Trills was in the Next Generation episode, where I think it might be either Beverly Crusher. I think it's gotta be, like, Beverly Crusher falls in love with a Trill. Yeah, it was definitely Beverly Crusher falls in love with a Trill, and then he dies, and then he gets put into, like, a female body, and that whole relationship goes up in flames. If you actually go to the article where they talk about Star Trek's first non-binary and first transgender character, they mention Gray, who's the first transgender character, and they talk about how he is a Trill host, okay? And the thing is that, like, are they both Trill hosts? Like, what are the odds of that happening? I actually think that Adira might straight up die, and that the symbiote is going to be transferred over to Gray. Either that, or in order to tap into those memories that Adira contains, they'll actually go and travel to Trill, or go and try to locate an actual Trill host in order to, get the inside scoop and try to delve into her mind and try to reach out those memories so that we could actually learn about Admiral Tall. But yeah, other than that, is there anything really else I want to talk about? There wasn't really much that caught my eye this episode. This episode was pretty straightforward. Some of my favorite moments were Saru commanding in that really heated moment. That was really cool. Michael Burnham was acting rather weird champ the whole entire episode because she's in this whole transitional phase, which is pretty understandable. It was very cool seeing Michael Burnham put on the uniform this episode, and also really cool seeing Cleveland Booker put on the uniform. Bro, I swear I will literally sell and remove one of my non-essential organs if it means I could get one of these Star Trek Discovery, like, Hollywood grade uniforms. Those things look so freaking cool. You could buy the uniforms online and everything, but the quality is probably like 1/4 as good as the actual ones that they use on the Hollywood sets. I will tell you that the Star Trek Discovery uniform is definitely top 3, maybe even top 2 of my favorite Starfleet uniforms. I love the contemporary look where it kind of looks like an actual Navy uniform with the collar and the stripes. Dude, Star Trek Discovery uniform designs are so good. The costume designer for Star Trek Discovery, I believe her name is Gersha Phillip. She is very talented. If she is responsible for coming up with like all the costumes that I really like about the series, then hats off to her. Keep doing what you're doing. I fucking love those uniforms. I love them to death. Anyways, guys, I'm going to give this episode just a straight up 6 because nothing too fancy happened in this episode. It was pretty straightforward, but it wasn't a bad episode. It was just a good one. We got introduced to Adira in this episode, which is pretty important. I can't wait to actually learn a little bit more about her or them. I don't know yet. I don't know what the fuck's going on. Perhaps it's the first non-binary actor to play in Star Trek and not the first non-binary character, because we've got no indication from the actual series that she's non-binary. I don't know what the fuck's going on. But yeah, anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching another Star Trek Discovery review. If you enjoyed the video, please slap a like on it. If you have anything at all you want to share or speak about with me, please leave it down in the comments below. I will be sure to get back to you. If you are liking the content that you see on the channel, I would be very flattered if you would subscribe. And with all that being said, guys, I will see you for next week's episode, and I'm going to have to see you in the next one. Live long and prosper.